A cry from a broken home. Sometimes I never thought that the biggest breakdown in my life would start with a simple notification from a computer screen on an ordinary Tuesday morning. The sun was streaming in through the kitchen window, illuminating the purple leaves of the tiny violets on the windowsill. As I checked my work emails, a message from Greg caught my eye. It didn't even have a subject line. I opened it carelessly, and the words on the screen first lost their meaning, then spread through my mind like a shockwave. We're not together anymore. I've fallen in love with someone else. It was as if my heart had stopped instantly, and the whole world had become blurred around me. With trembling hands, I called him immediately. The fact that his voice was so calm and emotionless fanned the flames of the anger raging inside me. "I'm sorry, it just happened," he said. "I've decided to start a new life. And there's Mandy, too." Mandy. I was hearing the name for the first time. Not only that, but there was something even worse. "By the way," he continued, "I'm taking the caravan we bought in your name. After all, the loan is in your name." I swallowed. The words stuck in my throat. Greg, as if talking about a cup of tea, had erased my 10-year marriage, our life, and most importantly, our son Ryan, in a single stroke. I begged, argued, threatened, but it was all in vain. He cut off the conversation and the phone never rang again. Neither from Greg nor from that Mandy. All that was left was a $35,000 caravan debt and a huge void that had opened up inside me. In that moment, I felt everything I had built up until the age of 35 slip through my fingers like a grain of sand. The intelligence and joy of our 10-year-old son Ryan, whom we raised together, and his future, which was more important than anything else to us. Greg had always been irresponsible. He could never stay in a job for more than 2 months. For the first time in 3 years, he had a decent job, and I, with foolish hope, had trusted him. I remember how my eyes lit up when he said, "Let's create unforgettable memories for our family." It was then that we decided to buy a caravan. But when Greg was rejected by the finance company, I had taken on the entire debt, because it was a family dream. Now, all that was left of Greg and that dream was a huge debt on my back. When I got home, I was trying to silence the echoes in my brain. Greg's belongings were still in place, but his soul was long gone. Ryan was at his homework as usual. When I saw him, the pain inside me stabbed like a dagger. How was I going to explain it? How was I going to tell him about his father's abandonment? As I sat at the dinner table, I couldn't even bring myself to touch the food. As tears streamed from my eyes, Ryan's worried voice pulled me back to reality. "Mom, are you okay?" he said, placing his small hand on my forehead. "Is your blood pressure low?" "No, honey, I'm just tired," I whispered, trying to wipe away the marks on my face. Ryan raised his fingers in the air. "When people lie, they look up and to the right," he said, with a mature expression on his face. "I'm not going to say anything bad to you, I just want to know the truth. Dad hasn't been home for 3 days. Did something happen?" The fact that a 10-year-old child had such a deep intuition both frightened and deeply affected me. I knew I couldn't hide the truth any longer. That night, I told him everything. About Greg's leaving, his decision to start a new life with another woman, and his leaving us behind. Ryan's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't cry. He just said, "That's typical of Dad. Don't you be sad, we're stronger together." My son's maturity broke my heart. He was trying to act like an adult, but I knew how much he was hurting inside. Days turned into weeks. My body and mind began to be crushed under this heavy burden. I suddenly collapsed to the floor during a meeting at work. My head was spinning. My stomach was cramping. "I need to rest," I whispered, amid the frantic voices of my colleagues around me. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a hospital room. The doctor told me that I needed an urgent operation and that my condition was serious. In that moment, I just wanted to live and fight for my son. The surgery was successful, but the recovery period was long. When I was discharged from the hospital, a month had passed since Greg had left. I opened the mailbox and was slapped in the face with the payment order for the caravan. My body had healed, but my soul was bruised. I checked our account with my bank card at home. I couldn't believe what had happened. There was $20,000 in the account, and now there was only $33.90 left. I was going to lose my mind. Greg had taken not only the caravan, but also all of our savings. My son noticed the pain in my eyes. "Are you sick again, Mom?" he asked, this time placing his small hand on my cheek. "I'm fine, honey," I said. "But unfortunately, your father didn't just take the caravan and leave. He also took all of our savings, both hospital bills and debts. I don't know what to do." Ryan's sparkle in his eyes wiped away the hopelessness inside me. "Then," he said, "I'll be a paperboy. I'll also look for job postings on the internet." The fact that a 10-year-old child was so strong embarrassed me. "I'm sorry for making you worry," I said, looking into his eyes. "I'm going to be strong now. We'll find a way out together." Ryan smiled as if he was telling me a secret. "Then let's make a plan to get the caravan back," he said. "How?" I asked. "The loan is in your name, right?" he asked. "Yes, but where's your dad? We don't know." "I know," Ryan said, taking out his phone from his pocket. "A month ago, we installed a GPS app on Dad's phone. I can see where he is in real time. He's constantly on the move." Ryan, as usual, was one step ahead. He had pretended to get lost during a family hike, just so we would get a phone. He had managed to get that phone and secretly installed a GPS app on his father's phone. "I thought Dad was up to something," he said, "so I made this plan." In that moment, I was amazed by my son's terrifying intelligence. This little man had figured out all these dramatic events even before I did. "And what if we find him?" I asked. "What if he says something ridiculous and runs away again?" A smile appeared on Ryan's face. "Don't worry, Mom," he said. "I've taken all the precautions." 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Greg calling. His voice was panicked and scared. I need your help," he whispered. "Who is this?" I asked, unable to stop my voice from trembling. "What do you mean, who is this? It's your husband. The police are questioning me. They're going to take me away." "Is that so?" I said, adding a surprised tone to my voice. "Well, wait. I'm coming." Together with Ryan, we headed to the location shown by the GPS. It was a forest park suitable for camping, away from the city centre. Greg was standing in front of the caravan, bewildered and miserable, in front of the police officers. I said to the police officer, "My husband and I have some things we need to sort out. Can we talk alone for a while?" The police officers nodded and moved away. Greg looked relieved when he saw us. "I don't understand why they came here," he asked. "Because I reported my caravan stolen," I said with an ice-cold calmness in my voice. Greg's face turned white. "This is a husband and wife case," he mumbled. "You can't be responsible for this." "There's nothing left between us, Greg," I said. "Didn't you sign the divorce papers and leave? We're strangers now, and driving a stranger's car without permission is a crime. Even my 10-year-old son knows that." Ryan's gaze was fixed on the surprised expression on Greg's face. "The car is mine," I said, holding out my palm. "Give me the key, please." Greg's face fell even further. Mandy, inside the car, was watching us with her arms crossed over her chest. Greg reluctantly handed me the key. When Ryan saw that the keys had passed to me, he headed for the car. He opened the door and asked, "Why did you abandon us?" His innocence caught Greg off guard. Greg stammered, I'm happy to be your father," he said, "but—" Mandy, as if enjoying the scene, smirked and interrupted. "Because I'm more attractive than your mother," she shouted. "He fell in love with me and chose me." "Nobody asked you," Ryan said, not taking his eyes off Mandy. "Be quiet." Mandy fell silent in surprise. Greg was still quiet. "If you don't have an explanation," Ryan said, "I'll call the police back and ask them to arrest you." Greg panicked and told everything. He said that he met Mandy at a work party 3 months ago, that they fell in love, and that he decided to leave us when he found out that Mandy was pregnant. And what about the caravan? I asked. I thought about selling it to get money, but it didn't feel right to sell it while the car was just sitting there, he said. So we decided to use it for a while. I had installed a GPS app on your phone the day you thought I was lost, Ryan said, looking at his father's surprised face. I was aware of everything. In fact, I brought you here. Greg's face froze once again at his son's intelligence. You're a scary child, he whispered. It's strange to hear that from a father who betrays the most valuable people without a second thought, Ryan said. And there's the $20,000 you stole from me, I said, without changing the subject. I want that money back now. That was our joint property, Greg shouted. No, I said, that money is mine. The money I saved little by little since I was single. After all, you always quit your jobs, so we hardly ever saved money together, did we? I was appalled to hear that the $20,000 had been squandered by Greg and his mistress. It was the moment I felt relieved about divorcing him. So that's how it is. But if you stole and used the car and my money, that's going to be a serious crime. What? I just sent the police away, so it's not their business anymore, right? I only said we would talk. I have no intention of withdrawing the complaint. I must add the theft of my money to the report. Mom, should I call the police now? Ryan asked, holding up his phone. At that moment, I saw Mandy panic. She was trying to get out of the caravan. When she opened the door, she was faced with two people with faces red with anger. Mandy's parents. Mandy backed away in surprise. Why did you call them? She shouted. Because the day I was taken to the hospital, Ryan went to your office and told them what happened, I said. They also wanted to meet with us, and today I called them here. Ryan had accomplished an incredible feat despite his young age. Your stomach looks quite big, Mandy, I said. When are you due? In 3 months? Greg and Mandy were dumbfounded. What do you mean? Greg asked. You said you met Mandy 3 months ago, I continued. A baby is usually born in 9 months. Can't you do the math? That baby isn't yours. Greg's face suddenly went blank. Mandy? He shouted. Did you lie to me? Mandy, in a panic, muttered, I was just happy I didn't get caught. Greg and Mandy began to hurl ugly words at each other. As I watched this disgusting scene, Ryan and I stepped aside and called the police again. A short time later, the forest park was illuminated by the red and blue lights of police cars. Greg was on his knees begging, Please, there's a misunderstanding. I'm so sorry. Regret is not enough on its own, Greg, I said. Lazy people like you never change. I turned to Mandy. You are also an accomplice, Mandy, I said. Don't forget, if Greg can't pay the money, it's your turn. Mandy shivered in fear. She begged her parents for help, but they disowned their daughter. Greg and Mandy, with their hands cuffed behind their backs, looked at each other with hatred as they were taken away in the back of the police car. After that, everything fell into place. I sold the caravan and paid off my debt. I hired a lawyer and demanded $20,000 in damages from Greg. I also made Greg agree to pay $500 a month in child support for Ryan. I found Greg a job at a subcontracting factory of the company I work for. The child support and damages I claimed from Greg would be deducted from his salary and deposited into my account every month. I no longer expected anything from him, only that he would pay his debt. Since that day, my health has completely improved. I've become more committed to my job. Ryan helps me with household chores and shopping. After that terrible event, we were both like we had been reborn. Now we were moving forward more strongly and surely to make Ryan's dreams come true. Because now we are a family of 2, and a mother's revenge is stronger than anything else.